It's 11:14 at night. You've been awake for 16 hours. Your eyes burn. An hour ago on the sofa, you couldn't hold them open. So you go to bed, you turn off the light, you close your eyes, and your brain switches on like someone flipped a breaker. Now you're wide awake. Wider awake than you were all day, and your brain has things it wants to discuss. A conversation from 9 years ago. Whether you locked the door, the number of hours of sleep you can still get if you fall asleep this second, a number that drops while you count it. Before this is over, I'll tell you something that sounds insane. You probably don't have a sleep problem at all. The thing keeping you awake is a 100,000-year-old reflex, and it works. The reason you feel broken instead of normal is a lie about sleep that is barely 200 years old. The proof shows up at around 3 in the morning. Stay till then, because once you see what your body's doing at 3 a.m., you'll stop panicking about waking up. Start with the body in your bed. It isn't built for your bed. It runs software written for a different night, when lying down unconscious in the dark was one of the most dangerous things you could do. For almost the whole history of your species, the night was the enemy. When the sun went down, you lost the sense you lean on most. You couldn't see. The things that wanted to eat you could. Big cats are built for that hour. Low light, a sleeping animal, no warning. After dark was when you died. So sleep became a problem evolution had to solve. You need it. Your brain rots without it. But going blind and limp for 8 hours in the open is a great way to never wake up. The fix it landed on still runs in you tonight. You don't shut down at night, you stand guard. Think about what wakes you, not your alarm. In the dead middle of the night, a creak, a car door, your partner rolling over. You go from asleep to heart slamming awake in under a second, eyes open, scanning, before you've had a thought. That is the point. That is a brain that learned, over an enormous stretch of time, that a snapping twig in the dark could be the last sound a careless ancestor ever heard. The deep sleepers got eaten. The jumpy ones woke, lived, had kids, and passed the jumpiness down to you. You come from the ones who slept badly on purpose. Every one of them. So when you bolt awake at 3 a.m. because the house creaked, nothing is wrong with you. You're running the program that kept your family alive for 100,000 years. You're just running it about a radiator, and you were never meant to run it alone. For almost all of human history, you slept in a pile, a family, a band, bodies close together around a fire that somebody kept fed. Sleep in a group, and one person is always awake. Researchers measured this. They wired up a band of modern hunter-gatherers and tracked their sleep for 20 days and nights. Across all that time, there were a grand total of 18 minutes where every single person was asleep at once. 18 minutes in 20 days. The rest of the night, someone was always up. An old man with sore joints, a light sleeper, a mother with a baby. The group ran a night watch without ever scheduling one. That's the deal your body still expects. You get to sleep deeply because you are never the only guard. Other people watch the dark, so you don't have to. Look at your bedroom now. One person, a sealed box. No fire, no band, no one on watch. To your old wiring, you're an animal, sleeping alone and exposed, with nobody to wake you if something comes. So, part of your brain won't clock out. It volunteers for the watch, because tonight there is no one else. You are not bad at sleeping. You are one person doing a job that used to take 8. Which brings us to 3 a.m., the most misread moment of your night. Almost everyone reads it the same wrong way. They wake, lie there, and decide something in them is broken. Two things are happening, and both are normal. The first is chemical. Around 3 in the morning, before there's any light in the sky, your body starts pumping cortisol. People hear cortisol and think stress, but here it's an alarm clock. Your body is spinning up the engine for the day, getting you ready to move before dawn, back when the cool early hours were the best time to hunt. That chemical sunrise has been waking humans for longer than there have been humans. The second thing is bigger, and nobody told you about it. For almost all of recorded history, people did not sleep in one solid block the way you're lying there trying to. They slept in 2. Historians found it written down everywhere. Diaries, court records, medical books, going back centuries. A first sleep that started a few hours after dark, then a stretch of an hour or two awake in the dead of night, then a second sleep until morning. They had names for both halves. They wrote about the gap between them the way we write about a lunch break. It was the shape of the night. So the standard you hold yourself to, 8 perfect, uninterrupted hours, is not ancient and it is not natural. It's barely 200 years old. And when you wake at 3 a.m., you might be doing the most normal thing a human body has ever done. That hour in the middle, the one you spend doing panic math, was not wasted time. For thousands of years, it was one of the best parts of the day. People used it. They got up and fed the fire. They prayed because the world was silent and it felt holy. They talked in the dark in a way you only can at that hour. They reached for the person sleeping next to them. A doctor in the 1500s wrote that this midnight window was the best time for couples to conceive, because by then, they'd slept off the day and had the energy for it. Whole relationships lived inside a slot of time you've been taught to treat as a malfunction. So what happened? How did a calm, ordinary, slept-in two-halves night turn into a thing you dread? Two inventions killed it. The first was light. For your entire history, when the sun set, the day ended. The only light left was fire, warm, dim, orange. Then came gas lamps, then the electric bulb, and the night had an off switch you controlled. People stayed up later. The evening stretched, and the sleep that used to spread across the whole night got squeezed into one shorter, harder block at the end of it. The second was the clock. The factory clock. The industrial world ran on shifts and punctuality, and the belief that every hour not spent producing was an hour wasted. Lying awake in the middle of the night went from normal to inefficient to a problem to fix. The timing gives it away. Only in the late 1800s, as the two-sleep night vanished, did doctors start writing about a new complaint. People waking in the dark, unable to drop back off, sure something was wrong with them. We gave it a name, we called it a disorder. Sit with that. You may not have insomnia. You may have a body running its original two-part program inside a head that's been told the program is a disease. The waking is ancient. The panic about the waking is the invention. Your ancestors woke at 3 a.m. and used it. You wake at 3 a.m. and grade yourself a failure. And then, to make sure you stay up, the modern world keeps cheating. It cheats with light. Your brain decides day or night off one signal, bright bluish light, the kind that for 1,000,000 years meant the sun is up. So you lie in a dark room doing everything right, then hold a flat panel 6 inches from your face that's blasting your eyes with chemical noon. Your brain believes it. The melatonin never comes. You've told your body it's bedtime while shining a sun into its eyes. It cheats with heat. To fall asleep, your core has to drop about a degree. For your ancestors, that happened on its own as the night air cooled. You sleep in a sealed box you keep warm all year, fighting your own thermostat, and call it restlessness. And it sets a trap almost nobody clocks. The harder you try to sleep, the further it runs. Trying is effort. Effort is alertness. And alertness is the opposite of letting go. You strain towards sleep like it's a finish line, and the straining is the thing keeping you awake. Your ancestors never once tried to fall asleep. The idea would have meant nothing to them. Sleep wasn't a task you did well or badly. It was what happened to a safe, tired animal in the dark. The moment we turned it into a performance, we built in the stage fright. And under all of it, there's your own head, which will not stop talking. The second you go still, the second you stop scrolling and distracting yourself, your brain does the thing it was built for in any quiet moment. It scans for threats. It drags up the thing you said, the money you owe, the look someone gave you. For your ancestors, that scanning was the work that kept them alive. Lying by the fire, the mind chewed on the real dangers. Is there enough food? Is the group angry at me? Could I be thrown out? That low hum of worry kept people careful, and careful people lived long enough to become your great-great-grandparents. The machine still runs. It has nothing real to chew on, so it grabs whatever's near. The predator becomes an unread email. Being cast out of the tribe becomes a friend who texted back a little cold. Your brain can't tell the difference. It treats a Tuesday meeting like a circling lion, floods you with enough adrenaline to fight or run, and there's nothing to fight and nowhere to run. So the fear just pools there, in the dark, with you. That's the tired but wired. A body worn out enough to sleep, wired by an alarm built for a world that's gone. So at your lowest, you reach for the phone. The worst move on the table, and you know it. You pour noon back into your eyes, hand your idle threat machine a fresh stack of things to fear, and shove sleep another hour off. The thing that swears it'll rescue you from the feeling is the thing digging the hole. You scroll until your eyes sting, feel worse, and set it down emptier than you picked it up. You know this part already. So, the whole thing in one breath. You're a prehistoric animal, lying alone in a sealed box, trying to switch yourself off, with no one keeping watch, holding a tiny sun to your face, feeding a lion alarm a diet of emails, of straining at sleep like it's a test, in a body that wants to wake at 3 a.m. the way it has for 10,000 years. And then you call yourself a bad sleeper. Go back to the promise. Think about what your ancestors did with 3 a.m. They woke into a calm, silent, safe hour, and they used it. The waking was never the problem. The waking was a gift. What we lost wasn't sleep. It was the part of us that knew the middle of the night was nothing to fear. So next time the old clock taps you awake, right on schedule, somewhere near 3 a.m., and your brain reaches for the panic, you can do the one thing your great-great-grandparents did without thinking. You can lie there in the dark, not asleep, not failing, just awake in the quiet middle of the night, the way people have been awake at that hour since long before anyone had a word for broken. And then, when your body's ready and not 1 second sooner, you can take your second sleep.